What is happening, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and welcome on back to Mass Effect. So last episode, we went ahead and talked to the rest of the cast and crew of the Normandy. We locked in our relationship with Liara Tassone. We also got some more information on Garrus, Ashley, and Rex. Rex told us a cool little story about a mercenary he fought back in the day. And Ashley, we got to the bottom of why she has such a chip on her shoulder with the military. We found out about her grandfather and the Shanxi garrison in the First Contact War. We also headed back to Admiral Kohoku, and he uncovered a Cerberus plot. We learned way more about that, and now he's gonna try and take his time to disappear. But you see here, he did send us the coordinates to a Cerberus facility. So we will be looking at this. They are unleashing alien monstrosities in the Attican Traverse. But before we get to that, we do gotta follow up on all this stuff we found on Feros. So we have some samples here. While on Feros, he found the personal log of an Exogeny employee. The doctor's notes seemed to express some concern about samples they provided to a group he referred to only as Cerberus, and that is in the Maroon Sea cluster, along with the facility that we also got from the Exogeny data samples. We are already there in the Maroon Sea, and we are already in Matano, which is exactly where we need to be for those samples. Obviously, first things first, we gotta check all these asteroid belts for things that we gotta uncover. Should be getting on pretty close to completing these missions, actually, with the data disks and the minerals and the Solarian and Turian tags. So being extra thorough in these final few planets will definitely pay dividends. There is an overabundance of things to collect. You can find more than you actually need, so if you miss one or two, it's not the end of the world, but you do get XP and gold every single time you find one, so I'm always gonna check every single place, right? More XP and more gold is never a bad thing, although in the new level system, you can only get to 30. It used to be 60, and 60 was really hard to get to. I think the highest I've ever finished Mass Effect 1 in a single playthrough is level 56. I've never actually hit 60 in a single playthrough. That I've always needed to go New Game Plus to max out in the original leveling system. So I am kind of curious to see if we'll hit 30 in this new system. At the end of these things to look for, so we are landing on Chaska. Since it's Cerberus, and there shouldn't be any Geth involved, or well, actually, this one's not Cerberus. No, it is actually, yeah, because they sent the samples to Cerberus, my mistake. So since it's Cerberus, we're not going to be dealing with any Geth. We'll sit Tally out. Obviously, Liara is coming, because she's my biotic powerhouse. So, to deal with Cerberus, we have options. We can either take Rex or Garrus, but I think we had Rex out last, before we had Rex out. Oh, sorry, I don't even know if I said that the right way around. Anyways, I think we had Garrus out before we had Rex out. So we'll take Rex this time, and we'll keep him leveled up and up to date with his gear and stuff like that. And you'll know the drill, of course. I'm going to end up splitting this one up while I investigate this planet. We'll go take care of all the interactables, and I'll show that on the map when I find them all, and then we'll head to wherever the facility is. We got some civilian structures, so I will go ahead and get started on getting all this stuff done, so I'll catch you guys when we're finished with the interactables. Alrighty, and this would be the final interactable for this map. Go ahead and salvage this crashed probe real quick. And we did also, on this planet, get our final Prothean data disk. So if you've been following along, you will have completed the Prothean data disk quest now. This was the final location for it. So here is the map for Chaska. You have 3 mineral deposits. You have this Prothean pyramid, which is where the final data disk was, and then this crashed probe. And now we can go for these civilian structures. We'll hit the science facility last. You can already see there's red on the map, so things didn't go well here wherever they sent those samples. This is either Cerberus personnel or the samples got loose. Which is to be expected, right?
I have a bad feeling about this.
Not quite deserted Rex. And husks.
Goddess have mercy. The entire colony must have been transformed.
So not only is Cerberus messing around with shit they shouldn't with Threshamores and all that stuff, but they're also messing around with Geth/Reaper technology too. And these are humans. Husks are transformed humans into Reaper subjects, and Cerberus, considering the goals that it espouses to uphold, right, with the whole like uplifting of humanity and all that stuff, they're literally farming out human colonists here and turning them into husks to see if they can make mind-controlled soldiers. So just when you thought it couldn't get any worse with what Cerberus is doing, they did this too. I don't know how this has anything to do with the Thorian samples, but maybe they were trying to see if they could reverse engineer that onto the husks to make them more effective. Either way, Cerberus is clearly messing around with shit they have no business messing with. And they're doing it at the expense of human lives, too. It's not like they're doing this to... And it would still be bad if they were doing this to Asari, Turians, Solarians. But at least they wouldn't be destroying the thing that they claim to uphold. But considering the whole ball game here is that they uplift humanity and for the advancement of humanity and all that stuff, when you look at what they're doing here, how does this benefit humanity in any way at all? The answer would be that it doesn't. Because everything Cerberus stands for is actually full of shit. And these poor colonists never had a chance, man. A bunch of scientists in lab coats just decided that it was their time to die for the advancement of science, and then they do this to people. This is literally what the Nuremberg trials were about, right? And why the scientists from Nazi Germany didn't get away with the things that they did, because you can't just say you're following orders in a situation like this. You can't just say it was for the greater good or any of that stuff. Crimes against humanity are crimes against humanity. And this is absolutely a crime against humanity. And if you needed any more reasons to dislike Cerberus after everything that they did with Toombs and his unit, well, this is more for you. We are getting an abundance of loot in some of these endgame locations. He finally decided to join us. He did. Come on, let's put you out of your misery, I'm sure. If any piece of you is left in there, you would like to go to the afterlife. I know I wouldn't want to live like that. Let's check the rest of this facility and see if we can get any information on what happened here, but all I need to know here, really, when you look at the brass tacks, is Cerberus facility and human husks running around, which you only get from those spikes that the Geth are using, and they only got that from the Reapers, which means Cerberus either stole that from the Geth or captured a Geth and backwards manufactured the way to do it, or something's not right there. They could only have been able to do this through nefarious means, which directly contradict their stated goals as an organization, but we won't really know much about their stated goals as an organization until Mass Effect 2. But it's important that you keep all the actions that they've taken in Mass Effect 1 in mind when you reach them in Mass Effect 2, because they're gonna, a lot of the people there are gonna feed you a whole line of bullshit, hoping that you don't remember a lot of this stuff. But we do, and we will, and we'll point it out every time we come across it. The Cerberus, I've seen the criticism that Cerberus doesn't really play a huge role inside the first Mass Effect game, and then all of a sudden they're like in there in Mass Effect 2. But they actually do really play a gigantic role inside Mass Effect 1. They're all over the place, and their grubby little hands are all over every, like, nefarious pie that they could possibly have a piece of, so... You see more of those poles right there that the Geth used to transform humans, so they were doing it all over the colony. And it looks like they straight up had some casualties too along the way. They didn't even get to transform everybody. There's no Geth here, so I know they didn't do it. Looks like we gotta put more humans to the sword. Try and bait them all to us, how about that? Make this a little easier on us by baiting them all back here. You're gonna come out. Which side are you gonna come out? Okay, let's back up. I don't feel like using Liara's singularity on just one individual, so what I'll do is I'll keep baiting them into this corridor, and if one gets the drop on us, like this guy trying to be sneaky, then we'll use her throw to push them back. But in general, I'd like to just keep baiting them in one at a time if we can. This one seems a little confused. Back up from that. That's a problem. That would have killed me if I didn't move back a little. Okay, now you can lift them. I don't have you do anything to kill me when my shields are so low. Just put you in the ground. Give you some peace at last.
Think we got him, Commander.
Yeah, I think so too, Rex, unfortunately. Well, hopefully in the science facility, there'll actually be some Cerberus operatives left standing, because I'd like to have a conversation about this. I want to know what the justification for this is, and then I'll get to beat out my own justice, because when it comes to stuff like this, I'm the judge, jury, and executioner. There's not going to be a court case for this. Especially when it's an Alliance-funded Black Ops group, like we learned from Admiral Kahoku. They obviously aren't going to go to trial. None of it will be public, and it'll all get swept under the rug anyway, so the only way to get justice for all these colonists that have been transformed is to put a bullet in the head of the people responsible who did it, which is the correct answer anyways, right? Trial or not, that's how that should end for crimes like this. If you're found guilty, you should just be sent on down the way to the next. No TV and rec time for you. Your victims certainly don't get TV and rec time anymore. They're in the ground, so I feel like that's where... If your crime results in somebody being in the ground and you're found guilty of that, I feel like you should be put to the ground too, right? That's the only thing that's fair. If you murder somebody in cold blood, like it's not self-defense, so there aren't extenuating circumstances, then it's only fair that you get the same punishment that you gave the victim, and the victim doesn't get to do any of that stuff anymore, so it kind of repulses me, actually, that you can have serial killers or, you know, people who do weird shit with children, and they'll ruin lives for an eternity and end lives for an eternity, but then they'll get to go sit in like a nice cushy Airbnb with an air fryer, a kettle, gym time, TV time, they get visitation, they eat better food than like veterans who are on the streets, for Christ's sake. Like, that stuff annoys the shit out of me. There are 100% certain crimes that can only be responded to with graveyard conditions, and it really doesn't... I can never wrap my head around how people don't see it that way. Like, I understand there's burden of proof and all that stuff, but I'm good with burden of proof. It's not like I just want to, like, hang people on a whim, but, like, there are some cases, man, where you literally have video evidence of somebody doing something with children, or, like, murdering somebody, killing somebody, rapist, slavery, all that stuff, and then nothing happens. We just put them in a box. Like, they get to live fantasizing about the actions they've taken in the past. They get to have fun, laugh with other inmates. Like, it's not... No. That's not justice, and it's not fair to the victims, I don't think. And when... Because I like talking to people who have different opinions to me, obviously. I think it's fun. And I think the only way you can be sound in your opinions is if you temper them against people who disagree and, like, see if it holds up. So, I'm always open to discussion, and I've had my opinions tested plenty of times, and... I've had my mind changed plenty of times too. Like, I've had people change my perspective on things, and I'm honestly glad that they have on some, because if my mind was able to be changed, then that means I had the wrong opinion. So it's good that I now have learned the correct one, right? Like, I've evolved in my belief system, so now I know where I stand better, and I won't make a fool of myself when I defend those positions. But what I just said about the graveyard conditions for certain crimes, I've had people try to convince me that that's bad, but it's never stuck. That might be bad. Yeah, it's never stuck. I've never had anybody be able to convince me I'm wrong about that. So I'm pretty set in my ways on believing I'm completely right about that. I don't think it would be... Like, I've had the discussion plenty of times, so it's always possible that my mind would be changed. But I don't think there will ever be a compelling enough argument for me to be like, you know what, you're right. The child murderers, the groomers, the serial killers, they should get to continue to exist. I don't think I can be convinced of that. So anytime I play an RPG where I'm addressing issues like that, they're all going into the ground. I get it's like a harsh thing to discuss or to contemplate, but man, put yourself in any of the victims' positions or any of the victims' relatives or parents, etc., and then tell me you disagree, you know, because that's important. We shouldn't be sympathizing with the criminal, we should be sympathizing with the victim. The criminal is the one in the wrong, and a lot of times we have more sympathy for the criminals than we do the victims, which is really just backwards to me. Too bad there's no scientists in here. I would have liked to have had a word. So we'll go grab all this loot, combat and a scram rail. The terminal is obviously going to lead us somewhere else, or at least help us get to the bottom of this. Bingo. Wet kit can have really good biotic amps. Is there anything else in here before I hit this terminal? This one. Fusion explosive and a scram rail. Fusion would be good. We still have the Thorin nades on now, like I mentioned, but we're going to keep that. A colonial pioneer team rarely consists of more than a few dozen specialists. It's clear that none of them have survived. The Cerberus group has a lot to answer for here. Yeah, so they just dropped these husks off right in the middle of a colonial pioneer team and just called it a day and moved on. So that would be the colony of the dead for the first data recovery. Now we have to investigate the facility that ExoGenny sent, and that would be in the Vostok system, which is directly across from us. So I'll go ahead and jump on back into the Normandy, and I'll catch you guys in the next system.
Looks like we've got an active distress beacon on the planet below, Commander. No message, just a locator signal.
Also, worth pointing out here as we ride around that if you look now, we have Thorian creepers. There are Thorian creepers on this world, so these are direct samples Cerberus took from the Thorian, and they've clearly reproduced some of that here, right? This world has been overrun by creepers. They're all over the place here, and there's only one way to make them, which is exposure to a Thorian, which means that they either took infected colonists from Pharaohs and left them here to rot and turn into the creepers, or they simply just took some of the spore samples and infected people themselves and then wanted to do this. Just to see how they would behave. I imagine what the actual upshot here is that if they can mind control people, then they can overrun the galaxy, right? We can become the dominant species, since that's what they want. They want humans to be the dominant species, and I imagine in their minds, well, we'll just infect the whole galaxy with this shit, and then it won't matter what other people's political opinions are, because they'll just do as they're told, because we've infected them. That's probably Cerberus's interest in this, and clearly it didn't work, because there's a distress beacon here, and there's creepers all over the colony. So whatever plan they had to control this kind of stuff, it didn't actually succeed. Go for these decryptions real fast, and then I'll check if Garrus has a level up requirement, actually. We did complete the Matriarch Asari's Ryans, too, in the meantime when we were scanning planets, I believe. Let's see, do you have some levels, Garrus? You have a lot of levels, Garrus. Well, let's get your electronics all the way up. That'll help with your stuff. What do we want here? Let's do parts of this, and then we'll do parts of the other one, too. I'll get you Adrenaline Burst, and then I want to level up this stuff, too, so you can have Sabotage and Dampen. We'll start making you our debuffer as well as our side damager. Then if we go to our equipment, actually, do we have any new goodies for you, Garrus? Because your armor hasn't been upgraded in a very long time. 36 147 has decent tech protection, but alright, let's look at some of this stuff. That's a 26 cooldown, but no shield bonus. Let's give you the cooldown on your abilities so you can help me out more. This is already better than the current thing you're using. What attachments do you have? You're using cryo rounds. I'm okay with that. We'll keep him with cryo. And we'll give you kinetic coil, because that's just a flat buff. Actually, no, I want the kinetic coil. Excuse me. So we're going to give you the scram rail, because that one does nerf you a little bit. And then you can have... we'll rail extension you twice, because your cooldown doesn't matter. You're a NPC. Okay, so instead of us having this, what we're actually going to do here is we're going to go for the kinetic coil. And then this is our heatsink 3, which we need a better heatsink, man. We've had nothing in terms of heatsink capabilities being extended, but I'll take the flat bonus damage. That's always going to belong to me. Alright, just wanted to point it out, those creepers. Anyways, now I'll split this on open, collect all the stuff we gotta collect. Alrighty, so here we are rolling on up to the facility, and Nodacrux is notoriously the worst map to navigate on. I actually just almost crashed out several times just getting the mineral nodes, so change of plan here. What's actually going to happen is I'm going to hit this research facility first, and then I can hit the episode again while I get those last 2 interactables, because I don't want to ever come back on this side of the map ever again, so we'll take care of this facility first. And here we have more Thorian creepers. And I'm sure that the distress beacon was coming from inside the science facility, since it's the only thing left standing. The rest of the planet is all overwhelmed with husks, so I'm sure the survivors are in here. And I guess depending on who they are and why they are, will depend on if they remain survivors or not, because I'm definitely not above just shooting them in the face in here. Upgrade kit, snowblind rounds. I actually don't remember what snowblind rounds do. Luckily, I think we're still all packing the shredder rounds. I don't think I ever took them off from when we were on Pharaohs, so we should be doing optimum damage to everything in here, human or otherwise. Tearing through organic matter like a can do. like the way you just run at me. Can you fall over? Thank you. No. No. Anti-Thorin gas. You can all back up away from me. That's why I kept that on, just for this. Once we're done with the Pharos samples questline, I can take that off and put my fusion explosives back on, but it's effective for creepers wherever you run into them. It's not just Pharos. I don't think they'll knock out the regular human enemy, though. I think it's specifically because they were infected by the Thorian spores that it was able to knock them unconscious so quickly. I don't think it has that effect on regular humanoid enemies. Go inside here first and check what's going on in here. You see all these cryopods and test pods. No doubt that this is where they were infecting people. Override that. And I guess these are the failed experiments. Didn't even get the dignity of a proper burial. And actually, was that Colossus that I just found? No, it wasn't. I must have got something else. Thought I saw Colossus armor pop up there for a second, but it wasn't. It's about to make my day.
Rescuers? Oh, thank God.
That remains to be seen.
I told you somebody would come to investigate that signal. My name is Dr. Ross, Chief Exogeny Researcher at this facility.
Exogeny, huh?
Trapped in this room for days. We're almost out of food and water. You got here just in time.
So Exogeny directly works with Cerberus. They sent staff as well as send in samples.
I need to know what's going on. Why is this place crawling with Thorian creepers?
How do you know about the Thorian?
Yeah, you can cut the act, honey. I know all about it. The Thorian is dead.
I know what Exogeny was up to. I saw what they let the Thorian do to those colonists, so I destroyed it.
Our secret's out then. No point in my lying. You already know the worst. The creepers here were created using altered samples from the specimens on Pharos. We discovered a way to turn them into docile, obedient servants. Everything was going fine until a few days ago. Then all the creepers suddenly went berserk. Only a handful of us made it back into the safety of this room.
So they altered the samples to make different kinds of Thorian creepers that would just do as they were told, kind of like the Quarians did with the Geth. They just wanted hard labor slaves, basically. And then they turned against them when we killed the Thorian because it severed whatever connection remained. So we ended up making all those set test subjects turn against their masters, which I'm quite okay with, actually. I'm glad that went that way.
Why didn't you send a clear message asking for help? All we had was that signal from the emergency beacon.
This is a closed communications base. Exogeny was worried about someone on the project selling secrets to a rival firm or reporting our work to the authorities. We have no direct
More Exogeny treating their
outside,
people as expendable,
only
huh?
the emergency beacon. It sends a general distress signal to the Exogeny site on Pharos. They're supposed to send a team to respond inside of 24 hours, but it sounds like they had problems of their own.
Keep in mind that Exogeny, their flagship statement is that they are here to colonize worlds, right? To help humanity expand in the stars. If you're wondering what the hell this has to do with that kind of goal, it's because it literally doesn't. They're just doing shady backroom shit to make money on the sides. I talked about it on Pharos. The colonists to them are just a means to an end. They're expendable. The colonies are the Exogeny's excuse to be there, to look for things like the Thorian, to do what they're doing here. They just use humanity as a convenient excuse.
Any chance some of the other people at the base might still be alive?
I doubt it. Too many creepers out there. They never stood a chance. We're the only ones left.
You hid in here with your soldiers and left everyone else to rot banging on the doors.
Any idea why they turned on you?
Maybe there was still some kind of link between the creepers and the Thorian back on Pharos. The Thorian was unlike any other life form we've ever studied. I can't explain how, but maybe when it died, it somehow set off the creepers here.
I've heard all I need to.
Look, I know what we did here was wrong. I'll admit that.
I don't
But
like
it's
your
over
attitude.
now. There's no sense reporting this to the authorities, right?
She's like, look, I know what I did was wrong, but no, it really wasn't, and I can do what I want because I'm a scientist and I work for Exogeny, so you're gonna keep your mouth closed, right?
You were in charge of this project. The safety of the staff was your responsibility. They trusted you, and you betrayed that trust.
Be reasonable. I didn't mean for this to happen. Besides, how does it help anyone if I end up in jail? Normally, Exogeny would have my back, but it sounds like they're going to have their hands full cleaning up the mess on Pharos. But I've got money. A nice little emergency fund I set up. It's yours if you let us go.
It doesn't help the people that are already dead, but what it does do is balance the scales of justice. You won't be bribing me today, sweetheart.
The victims here deserve justice. I have to take you in.
That's not going to happen. Open fire.
Uh-huh.
Open fire.
Yes, it is. You can enjoy levitating for a second. Garrus, you could just hit them with an overload, and let's just take care of this problem. I was right about one thing, though. I won't be taking them in. Exogeny's second-rate mercs proved no match for a trained Alliance Marine. With the last of the science crew dead, there's no reason to linger here. And a good riddance. She was right about a couple things, not just the fact that we wouldn't be taking her in, but also about the fact that we can't help the people anymore. And the reason we can't help them is because they're all dead because of her. But what we can do is help the scales of justice balance out. And we actually just got frictionless materials, and that is what I was complaining about with the heatsink. So you'll see this is 14% heat absorption. This is 20% heat dampening plus 5% damage. So frictionless materials are your go-to for heatsink. Once you get past that heatsink level 3, you're only going to find frictionless. There isn't a high level heatsink. It's frictionless materials that you go to after that. And heat dampen, I mean, look at that now. You can just spray to high heavens. Well, that does wrap up Nodacrux, but we are not done with the Maroon Sea cluster yet. We do have one more star system, so I will go ahead and split this one up here, and I'll catch you guys in the final cluster. Alrighty, and I had almost forgotten that I was supposed to show you guys the final interactables on Nodacrux. So here's where it is. You have 2 mineral nodes, you have the science base, the debris, and then the anomaly right here. And I actually did just get more frictionless materials from that last place we hit up, so now we're rocking double. That's 40% heat damping and a 10% damage boost, and there's a Turian insignia. So we should be getting pretty close on all those quests. So let me just check that real quick, actually. So, for the... We've been done with the minerals, it looks like. Let me scroll down here. How long have we been done with that? Reporters, the fan, Zelton, Jalid, Signal, Homecoming, Missing Marines, Survey Team, Hostage, Survey... Yeah, here it is. So we already did all this. We got the heavy metals, the light metals, the rare earths, and the gases. That's all been done. We got the Asari writings, and we got the Prothean artifacts. So, the ones we have left to do are the Signs of Battle. We're at 7 out of 10 on the League medallions. We already got the Solarian ones, and for the Turian insignias, we are at 12 out of 13. So we're almost done with all those little things that we have to gather up while we're here. Anyways, now that I am done with Nodacrux, now I can pause the episode, and we'll catch you guys when we're at the next system. Alrighty, so here we are on Caspian, and the only thing we had here was the MSV Cornucopia. So, the Cornucopia is a Kowloon-class modular conveyor of human design. While obviously adrift, the Cornucopia is not broadcasting any distress call. Register it, ex-solar ship in Sol, and this might be that missing ship that we had to find for that guy on the Citadel. Who haven't we had in a while? We haven't taken Ash in a while, so we'll take Ash. We almost definitely have some things that we can give her, so let's tab over to Ashley Williams. We'll go to your armor. 36 and 180 is where you're at. We want heavy armor exclusively for you, so we'll get you back in your pretty in pink, it seems. Heavy armor duelist. That's actually better because of these shields and only slight less damage protection. 2 more heavy armor selections. Okay, that's fine. And what do you have? Your assault rifle is very outdated for all the things that we're going to be going up against, so we'll do that for you, and that'll be about right. We won't be using Ash much, but I like keeping everybody up to where they need to be. She has 42 points, so it shows how much we haven't used her during this. Get that all the way up. Get your armor all the way up. And then we'll get your assault training. And then we'll get your fitness, so you have a little bit more survivability, just in case we ever do decide to use you for anything. And then we have 11, so we'll get your first aid up too, so you get more healing benefits when we decide to heal you. You have 1 point left over, so I suppose, with nowhere else to put them, I'll put them in pistols, because eventually I'd like to have you using your shotguns. And let's check out why this ship is adrift. very, very quiet. And more husks. Actually, a lot of husks. Oh my god, that's a problem. You need to do that. I need to do this. And then I need to do this. Let's keep moving during this. Jesus, that scared the shit out of me when I saw that thing come around the corner. I can't get away from it. I never just eat it and kill him. Okay.
Medical deployed.
Let's heal up now that I know there's a whole gang of husks here that are going to be causing issues. Yeah, that's why I healed up. To do that again. We'll adrenaline burst this. I want to use this to just kill this shit before it kills me. We're not done. One isn't enough to kill me, so... It's a decent chunk of damage, but it's not enough to just drop me. Let's actually change this too. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a different grenade now that we're done with the Tharians. We could do cryo explosive. That makes them way less accurate. That'll be good when people are fighting us. It's not going to kill anything outright, but... Yeah. You're all going to stop that. How good double frictionless materials are. You're just not gonna overheat, and the overheat wears off faster, so you could just chop away basically. Stop it. If you manage to bonk them before they try to explode, okay, let's get ourselves unfucked. Everybody pull back. Things. Bonk him before he tries to detonate, and then you'll be safe-ish. Okay, let's move back. Thank God Singularity has such a high cooldown when you're leveled up the whole way. And you give her the Prodigy amp, it's over. I think it has a 38 cooldown reduction, so... We're going to be spamming Singularity all day, every day for us, which is very useful in situations like this. You can imagine how difficult this would be if we didn't have the ability to just put them up in the sky. We already almost died a couple times here, just byproduct of having to deal with so many suiciders. Okay, now that we've gotten through the main clusterfuck of that, let's save, because we haven't saved since Notacrux, and if we die, we'll be going right back to Notacrux. And like I said, I'd rather avoid that hellscape for the rest of my life. This is where the whole cast and crew was converted, in these chambers. It's really hard to tell who's responsible for a lot of this stuff and how this ends up happening. This must have been the Geth, right? I know we've been talking about Cerberus a lot in the Maroon Sea cluster, and honestly, since the Cerberus organization is highly involved here, maybe this was, right? Or maybe what happened, because what the Geth like to do is they like to convert everybody and then leave the starship in space to kind of warn other people off. So maybe Cerberus just found this ship and then decided to leave it here as a warning for everybody else. Maybe that's what happened. Cerberus just found the spikes, took a few, and started converting people. Because the spikes work how the spikes work. Even if somebody else puts them up on the pole, it'll still do what it does.
The logs show this ship was exploring near the Perseus Veil. Looks like they found some kind of alien artifact. They brought it on board and then... This is really weird, Commander. They plotted a course straight into the Perseus Veil. Like they wanted the Geth to find them.
So they were exploring inside the edges of the Perseus Veil, found a Reaper artifact, and then it indoctrinated them and messed with their brains, and then they sent themselves straight into the Geth to be converted into husks.
That artifact must have done
So
something.
this actually didn't have
Why else would
anything
someone
to do
fly
with
against
Cerberus.
space?
Their conscience is clear on
The
this
entries
one.
don't make a lot of sense after that. It's like the captain's mind was falling apart. Doesn't say anything about how they got back into our territory.
The Geth did leave him here, though.
Transformed them into husks and left the vessel where they knew it would be found. A warning to other organics not to enter the Veil.
Correct.
The logs show they brought it on board and then
Okay, so we've already
the
done.
log they brought
Excuse
it
me,
on
I
board and
clicked
then
that again by
the entries don't
accident.
make a lot of
The
sense.
Geth transformed them into husks.
Let's get the hell out of
and left
here.
the vessel where they knew it would be found. A warning to other organics not to enter the Veil.
And if that is that dude's brother's ship, it's not good news. That's in the Strenus system. Okay, so it's not his brother's ship. This is completely unrelated. Thankfully for him, right, he doesn't have to deal with the fact that his brother was a mindless husk, just shitting on itself, basically, which we'll get more into what husks are and how they operate when we go into future games. We don't really know much about them as of yet, and I like to avoid too much spoiler-ish territory for stuff like this. But that is going to be the end of the Maroon Sea cluster. We're all wrapped up now, so we can progress to something else next episode. I need to take a look at the map, because I'm not sure if that means we're going right into Noveria next episode, or if there's something else. Let's take a look. Let's take a little look-see. So Maroon Sea is done now. That's done. 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 Vermeer we're not going to yet. So yeah, we are. We're all wrapped up. So the only thing we're going to be doing next is obviously the Cerberus tip we got from Kahoku, but that might end up being in the Horsehead Nebula anyway, and I know a couple of the other quests are as well, so that's how we're going to split this one on up. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, please do check out those links in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you soon with more Mass Effect. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Peace.